Alright, so as always, we're going to go ahead and start off with a 1-inch border. Next, we're going to go ahead and make a horizon line. We'll just go ahead and do it in the center of the page. So this inner area here should be 15, which would make the center point 7.5. Alright, next we can see with this page here, I'm going to go ahead and put my vanishing points down, and next I'm going to do a 2-point perspective cube above and below the horizon line. So I'm just going to use my straight edge here, line it up straight, and I'll just go ahead and put it in roughly the center of the page. Put my vanishing points. I'm putting them within the margins just so that way I have more area to work with. Line it up. So now I'm going to find a cutoff point for those guys there. Erase my extra lines. And since this top one is just going to be a regular solid cube, I just got to bring down the end points or the bottom areas to the opposing vanishing points. Okay, so there's one. Next I'm going to do the one below the horizon line. And if you guys will see, you can kind of tell that it looks more of like a room area rather than a solid cube. So it's almost like if we had that cube there, like if we're looking at 2 walls and then a floor, if we just switch that around, so now we're seeing the inside of it. So we're going to go ahead and have to make this bottom one transparent. And I'm going to kind of off-center it a little bit. Okay, now I'm just finding my cutoff points. I'll go ahead and cut it off like right here. Erase my extra marks again. Alright, so now I'm going to bring these points here over to that vanishing point. Same thing with these 2 points here, the opposing vanishing point. Alright, so now you see where it kind of crosses here and right there. I'm going to go ahead and line that up and make my little back corner. Make sure it's parallel with the sides of the page. So now these first lines that I drew, I'm going to go ahead and erase them. And I'm also going to erase my extra lines. Alright, so now we have our 2 little room areas one being like more of a solid kind of 3-wall structure, that being the same 3-wall structure just facing out at us. So next we're going to go ahead and do the checker. So in order to find the center of an area, all you need to do is find the 2 corners, make this little X in the center, matching up my corners again, making sure that the straight edge is again straight with the edges of the paper. And that right there is the center of that wall there. Oh, I probably should not have erased that yet, because we're actually going to go ahead and use that same point to find the sides. Our side areas are going to match up with these lines here, so the top and the bottom of the cube, which if you guys remember, we're just going back to the vanishing point. So we can go ahead and do that here. And honestly, we can use that same mark for the other side too. So again, you're just going to go ahead and find the center of the box, or this little section here, parallel with the sides of the page. Bring that point down. Go ahead and do the same thing down here. Make sure it's straight. Alright, and now, like we just did, bring it over to the vanishing point. Same thing with this one here. And those 2 lines can just go right on over. Now I'm going to go ahead and divide this area up to find those lines that go up and down. So I'll just find the center of this side. Which is right there. So I'll go ahead and bring down a line to divide it in half. Same thing I did on the other side, just mark off the center of one of the little boxes. And I'll go ahead and do the same thing over here. Okay, so now that I found my 2 centers, I can go ahead and bring it down. So I like to kind of use my pencil to mark off where that area is going to be, line it up with that little horizon line that I drew because it's straight, and I can just bring that line down. Do the same thing here, bring that down. Next, we're going to do the same thing for the bottom area. With this guy here, with the bottom, since we already have our lines drawn off, all we're going to need to do is just bring the ends of these lines to the opposing vanishing points. So, go ahead and line up there, line up with the vanishing point, and bring it over. Okay, go ahead and do the same thing again. Just bringing that bottom of the line over to the opposing vanishing point. One more time for this side. Okay. Next, do the same thing for these 3 lines here. And there we have it. I'll go ahead and erase these X's in just a moment, but I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for this one down here. Find the center. Lined it up with that vanishing point. Now I just find the center of these 2 boxes here. Now I can just take those centers over to the opposing vanishing point, stopping at this wall. And since I already have these lines squared up, I can just take over points to the opposing vanishing point. Okay, again, we can go ahead and just find the center, which will be on that line right there. Parallel with the sides of the page. Now I'll just go ahead and find the center of 2 of these areas here. And again, just bringing that center line down. Alright. And honestly, this side's kind of short. If it were up to me, I would have done this side just a little bit longer. But now I need to just find the bottom area, which I can do the same thing like I did up here. Just take these bottom points over to the opposing vanishing points, or to the same vanishing point in this case. So line it up with the bottom of the lines and just extend the line all the way over. Same thing with the other side. Now I'm just going to erase my extra little marks here. Okay, so now you guys can go ahead and fill in however you would like to. Normally I would have you guys do something more of like a value kind of shift, but you can feel free to use whatever colors you want. You can use gouache if you'd like. You can turn this top one into a Rubik's Cube. You can keep the other one more simple. It's really whatever you want to do. Just try to fill in like checkered areas. Just try to keep it consistent. And I'm going to go ahead and color this in off camera, but I will update you guys once I'm done with that. Okay, alright. So this is what mine looks like now that I'm done. You can choose to use whatever colors you would like. Just try to make it as neat as possible. I messed up in a few areas, but I tried to cover it up some. I might try to go back and cover it up even more, but this page will just show me that you have down 2-point perspective and are able to also understand how to do a checkered pattern in perspective.